Brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel, and we are going to continue with the very last book, book 3 of the library series, The Book That Held Her Heart. And this is the book where it all comes together, but it is also a totally different book than book 1 and book 2. This one is a hardback. So I believe the book came out sometime last year, so they did not print the paperback. Typically, I do like to read paperbacks, but I found it fitting to end this book on a hardback. But I mean, I think I like having everything being cohesive. So having these on paperback and having this one in hardback as a collector and having a library of my own, there is a bit of disappointment that they're not, but listen, I'm blessed, you know. Anyways, this book, it is the most emotional one. I mean, the book that held her heart. I'm not gonna lie, you know what I'm about to say. I cried. Some tears were trickling down. If I'm not mistaken, some tears were trickling down in different parts of the book as well. It was probably the most, it's probably the most separated out of the 3 books, in a sense that, and what I mean by that is the first and second book had a similar feel to it. And it, though they were different books, the feeling, the world, the environment felt the same to me. Where the last book, it almost felt, though we had the same characters, we had way different situations, and the characters were sort of, and I'm not going to spoil the book, but this book was way different. It was almost as if it was another book entirely that happened to tie up the first 2 books, if I'm making sense. And I wish I could, the new character, the new species, and the perspective, it was, they didn't necessarily have, I mean, don't get me wrong, they had a role in the final book, but it was almost like, they were less active than now I wish they would have been, if that makes sense. You introduce me to a new character, and then you don't utilize them in book 3. You utilize them, but in such a limited way. I think the story of those new characters and that new species was strong in book 2. And one of those characters in book 3 was practically non-existent. But not in the way that you think I'm talking about. And that statement was far from a spoiler. We are I don't want to necessarily talk about the themes in this book because it could be considered a spoiler as well. But let's just say this book broke my heart. It really was an emotional read. It was still gripping. It was dark. It was darker than the other two. It had this nightmarish, dreamlike feel to it. It was like a surreal dream, a lucid experience, which I'm sure some of Mark Lawrence's grimdark feels. I think if I would have read more of his work, I would maybe have a better understanding. I do believe that there is some real, just unbelievable talent. His mind has to be just, oh, sorry for cussing. I'm gonna bleep that out. It's gotta be just so filled with ideas. It's different. This imagination, the way he ties things together, is very difficult to play with time and to stay on track. And I think he did a wonderful job. You know, I felt lost without feeling lost. Like, what is going on? Though, you know, there were some times where as we're in the beginning of the book and we realize how different that book is compared to the book that came before it, it is kind of jarring. It takes some getting used to, but I think it is by design because the world is so fractured. And it gets even more fractured as you go on in the series. And each time you open the next book, you're really seeing the scope of how fast change is happening. And I remember reading the third book and I was like, I just wish they could go back to the first book, where things had hope, where you saw ambition and you could see a happy ending. Damn, I'm gonna have to cut that out. I felt hopeless. The first book, there was hope. I could see what could be. And then when you get to the last book, what you thought or hoped for is impossible now. And you're left to accept the reality of what's going on, what happened, and that vision you had for the end of this book is now impossible. And not only is it impossible, you are emotionally drained and in shock in so many ways. I'm literally talking about this book. I read this earlier to mid last year, and I am still I'm talking about it and it's bringing back like those nostalgic feelings of reading the book. It's a wonderful, wonderful trilogy. The book that held her heart, I will give it a 4 out of 5 with a 75% on the love meter. I was reminded that I have emotions. I was reminded that I had emotions, even though some books remind me I'm talking about deep emotions. And also how attached I get to characters and what I want for them and hope for them and wish for them, and how I see society in real life. This series, again, is touching on themes of knowledge and power and class and whomever it is reigning these lands at this particular time. Propaganda, division, hatred. When really we all have a lot in common, no matter your class or your species. We all deserve love. We all deserve the right to pursue education and knowledge. But it comes down to this, and you decide. On one hand, we have knowledge, and is it something that is for everyone? I mean, we wouldn't have bombs, nuclear bombs, and nuclear threat. We may not have computers, but we wouldn't have cyberbullying and access to vulgar materials and how to educate someone to make bombs, or how to be a murderer and live in the shadows. Is it that there could be a happy medium? And why does it have to be so polar opposites? Why does each end of the spectrum, why can't there be a happy medium? But there's always going to be someone who takes knowledge and wields evil. But does that mean that we should ration knowledge to those we think have the capacity to consume it and do what's right? And even then, if you're too clever, we probably will need to hold things back from you as well. How do you divvy up knowledge in the pursuit of knowledge? It really opens up the doors for the power of books in a negative and a positive way. if you think about the history and the rise and fall of empires and the technology and the growth of technology playing a vital role in wars, in trade wars, ambushing and fighting techniques, languages, written word, how to decipher and to decode secrets, intelligence in different countries, espionage. Information will always be the most valuable commodity in all that we do. But there is a peace that comes with ignorance. And a beauty in simplicity, graciousness, humility, innocence. There's something wonderful and magical and special about a child that's running around. But even in innocence, a child is still curious. We are innately curious. And it's sort of like a reminder, this trilogy is a reminder of how evil we are as a human race. I was watching something with Neil deGrasse Tyson just a couple months ago, and I think it was the CEO workshop or some podcast, something like that. And Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about how we are all stardust. We are all made from the exact same elements that stars are made of. Supernovas and the spreading of elements and minerals, and how it's these elements that we're made of in our DNA, and how so alike we are all. And is it nigger? He also talked about how tribal we are as humans. He talked about we like to separate ourselves from each other through race, sexual preferences, political views, religion, separate religions, or how we decide to worship the same God. There are always ways that we separate ourselves from one another. And this trilogy is a testament to just that. If we step back and see that we all want love, we all want to be able to feed our families, put clothes on their backs, and have a roof over our heads. But yet we see a homeless person on the side of the road, and we are just like, no, doctor, I don't have any money. I don't this and that. They're nothing. Where is the humanity? And as we grow stronger in technology and artificial intelligence, and as we develop through knowledge, it's scary to see the scope of devastation that we can rain down upon each other. And how inevitable it is. From the rise and fall of empires, and the one thing that stands true is the pursuit of knowledge. Mark Lawrence, you are a very special Mark Lawrence, you have a very special mind and a way of getting us to talk about and feel and to be almost, I don't know what I need to do. After reading this book, do I need to go fight for the pursuit of knowledge, or do I need to try to hinder it? Or do I need to be like a special character in your book that's an advocate of compromise? Brothers and sisters, this trilogy as a whole is a 4.3 out of 5 with a 100% on the love meter. I think if you are watching this, I really encourage you to pick up the book that wouldn't burn. Strap on your harness. Get some tissues by your side. Get your enthusiasm in every single page. And really go for a very special, authentic, original, literary ride. And if you will, as always, I'm going to ask for you to like, comment, subscribe, and holler back at your boy. I'm going to catch you next time.